So this is the world of Transformers toys in 2025, and I think we've watched the one for the last 2 or 3 years, so let's see if things were good this year, but I'm gonna assume they were not good, especially because of tariff, right? All the tariff bullshit this year, right? I'm guessing like that probably impacted Transformers too. Let's see it by Diamondbolt.
Hi, welcome back to the reason that 90% of you are probably still subscribed to me, and you're just in time for us to talk about what has got to have been Transformers' best year yet. The game we've been waiting on for 4 years, cancelled. The newest show got handed off to the guys that made Megamind 2. The newest crowd-funded campaign that cost $700 took 1.5 years to come out and 5 seconds for people to break immediately. And now they're talking about bringing Michael Bay back for the next movie, director of the soon-to-be critically acclaimed Skibidi Toilet movie. It's
Wait, is that real? Or is that a meme? No fucking way.
Never been more over.
Skibidi fans are some of the most loyal in the world.
We live in hell, and this is what you guys get for not seeing Transformers 1. And I can't even say I've been anywhere cool this year. Like, I haven't been overseas or to any movie premieres, but what I did do is move out. And while it's been kind of fun trading thousands of dollars a month in bills for the privilege of being able to shit with the door open, you don't realize how much dumb bullshit you own until you have to individually pack it into boxes and drag it halfway across the state. I own an Alvin and the Chipmunks record on vinyl, and I don't own a record player. Like, and moving's hard enough when you don't have to safely transport like 300 stupid kids' toys, where...
I mean, I don't have like, I don't have much figurines myself, but when I moved, I had like, I think 8 or 9, like 20 kilo at least, cardboard box filled with like DVDs and Blu-rays and all that, right, and mangas. That was like a ton, and when I moved, we went from like the south of France to the north, right, and like we barely had the space for all my fucking books, and by now I sold a lot of it. I only have like 3 books left, but yeah, it's kind of like, I like having physical stuff, and yet, these days, all I think is like, I'm glad I sold so much, because when I move again, I only have like 3 bucks to move, and that's less of a pain. It was real, but there's a Right Wars for Skibidi Toilet movie right now.
Of course, instead of just drowning them all in bubble wrap and chucking them in a box like a normal person, unfortunately, I'm one of those guys that keeps all the boxes. Yeah, I know. Don't blame me, okay? This shit is like crack to people on eBay. So not only did I individually wrap each toy to then put back into their box, but then I had to put those boxes into a bigger box, which was already a dumb idea before I realized I had to do it 400.
I would be too lazy, like seriously. Like, ain't no way I would have the patience to wrap everything one by one. I think I would just chuck them into like a carry bag, like a bunch of carry bag, so they don't get squeezed too much, like in a box. But yeah, ain't no way I'm wrapping all that.
100 times. And bro, you don't even want to know how much cardboard it took to do that. I'm pretty sure I own enough bubble wrap to kill every single turtle on the planet. And then by the time I got around to doing the big ass dudes, I just gave up and strapped them into the back of my car and intensely avoided eye contact with anyone at a red light. Anyway, point of the story is they all made it there okay, but like now the problem was what to do with them all. But we'll get back to that in a sec, because I know that you guys really just want to hear me bitch about the economy. But just in case you clicked on this Transformers video and actually just really wanted to hear about VPNs, do I have the best news for you? Sorry guys, how do you think I pay for all this shit, okay? Just like my unexplained check.
Great GTA and sure, let's advance.
20 can just import it. Wow. I don't.
Did I go too far?
Head over to the US and chuck it into Google to find out that it's almost $100 cheaper. Okay, but just to be sure, I can also head over to Japan and wow. I don't speak Japanese.
So it's still part of the
There we go. 22,000 yen. And then chuck that in the conversion. Yep, that's another $80 off the US price. And 184 bucks cheaper than what my hell country is wanting me to pay for it. So now I can just import it and use that $184 on literally anything else. Thanks so much, Proton, for... Dude, are you serious? What are they charging that much for? Are they setting them on a boat one at a time? Proton VPN works with any streaming service. It comes with a built-in ad blocker. It's faster than other VPNs. And with that Black Friday sale that's still going on, you can get 75% off your Proton VPN subscription with the code on screen to get all of this for cheaper than anything I'm going to talk about in this video. Thanks so much to Proton for enabling my life-ruining dependence on seasonal releases of Optimus Prime. And speaking of, in hindsight, it might have been a bad call to have been complaining about the prices of these guys when that was before I had to buy eggs. Because it's only like now that I'm starting to realize how financially lethal these are to get. Now that I live by myself and don't have the disposable income to drop on toys for toddlers when I really need that money for pain medication. and butter. Having to adjust the cost of living has genuinely been one of the worst experiences of my life, because every time I go and get groceries, I get flashbanged with the chicken costs $10. Who likes avocados enough to spend $5 a kilo? Like, dude, I'm not...
Shit is fucked. I mean, even like recently, you know, my mom wanted to make like one of my favorite dish, which is a raclette basically. No, it's tartiflette. And you need like a special cheese for it. Like it's this round block of cheese that you use. And you know, we've been eating that for like 20 years or something. It's really good. And she never actually buys like the most expensive one. She buys like a cheaper version that's still very tasty. And this year she basically had to give up on that because the thing was like 5 times the price that it used to be. So she just like replaced it with other cheese, which was still pretty good. But it's kind of insane, yeah. I mean, I could say that about Monster Energy too. Like, I think like a normal, like this isn't a normal one because this is the one with the sugar, right? But like a normal green one, I think they went up by like at least €1 or something. You know, everything is pretty fucked, obviously.
Spending $400 on Ultra Magnus when that same money
That's
buys me
fine.
like 4 months worth of internet that I can use to just look at pictures of it and also Markiplier. But you know, at least I'm the only person that has to deal with this in the entire world. And it's still taking me a little bit to adjust to how bad my current situation is. Like currently in my fridge, I have a single slice of cheese and 4-day-old expired milk, and my TV is on the floor, but I don't have time to fix any of
That's
that
fine.
because Big Convoy is 20% off right now. But you know, from here on out, I'm gonna have to make some pretty tough choices. Like maybe I don't need the guy that turns into a dude actually. And then, as if things weren't bad enough right now, I'm sure we've all been hearing over in the US, everyone crashing out over how they got to deal with tariffs now, thanks to the geriatric orange fuck their aging population decided should be president, and now their prices have like caught up to how dog shit they are in the rest of the world. To me, I think the breaking point for everyone was when they dropped a new Optimus Prime from the comics for next year that everyone had been wanting for so long and was losing their shit about until we saw the price.
What the fuck?
And like this toy is exactly the
I don't know what like the normal price would be, you know what I mean?
same as the last Optimus they did, except it doesn't come with this big ass trailer, which means this price is suggesting that this entire thing is only worth $10 more than an arm. Something the original toy already had. It's not like an extra arm. You can't take it off. And like usually they save this price for like the really big shit. Like you can get a guy that's 50 times bigger than everything else you own, or 3 dinosaurs you turn into one bigger guy. Or you can get Optimus with
That's
a
pretty
funny
cool.
arm. And like the price of these things hasn't been about the size and ages. It's just like, where is that money coming from? Did they make the arm out of fucking Transformium? Then they put out like a Nemesis Prime that again is just like a goth version of a toy that they already made a couple years ago, but trades his trailer that lets him turn into a bigger dude for 3 little guys, and somehow the price still didn't budge a cent. But don't worry, the small dudes make up the extra value by disintegrating immediately. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, okay? Don't talk to me about inflation. I'm not a Sonic fan. So like, I get why people complain when we get like these 2 toys that release like 8 years apart when the one on the right is the one that costs more. You know, personally, I care way more about the toys being like good than big. Size doesn't matter, okay? But
At the same time, it's one of those things where like, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but like as someone who most of my collection, like, you know, when I had like this $8 that I talked about of anime and manga, like at least 90% of it was stuff that I bought basically on the French eBay or like at guys sale and stuff like that. You know, that's kind of the way to go, right? Like I kind of understand that it's not as fun because you're not part of like the release hype or something, but the amount of money you save compared to how much you get from like, you know, building your collection from like buying used stuff, it's kind of worth it, you know? Like I don't know, these days I've kind of given up, right? But I don't know if I'd ever get back into trying to have some kind of collection of anime and manga stuff. But if I did, I think I would still do the same, right? I would go for like, you know, used goods and like guide sell and stuff like that, because I don't know, like, you know, it's kind of like you can probably like for one new toy you can buy like 4 or something, except they're like 10 years old, but that doesn't mean that they're bad or something. So I don't know, I kind of understand like wanting to be part of like, you know, the new stuff. It's kind of like people who always buy the game when they release, when, you know, if you wait a year there'll be like some sale and there'll be like alpha for more, right? I mean, I understand wanting to be part of like the new stuff, but you're fucking yourself. I mean, you're literally fucking yourself is the best way to put it. And yet I understand like it's the human mind. I mean, you know, it wants the new stuff right now when it's new. For Transformers, we traded size for engineering. Also, the newer figures are more expensive and hollow.
Like, I guess it just depends on where your priorities are. Like, yes, the toys are perpetually shrinking while running you up like twice the price, but they're also a lot more posable. They have less gimmicks, but they're more accurate. I'm just saying that for a guy called Big Convoy, it's crazy that he looks like a short king compared to the one that came out 25 years ago. Like, at this point, the only financially viable strategy is just to become like a YouTube reviewer, so you can just claim everything as a business expense, which I would never do personally, okay? I bought these 15 copies of Knack for work. I mean, let's look at Lego as another example, right? Who have realized that the best way to keep you feeling like a kid is still making you ask your parents for money to buy them. Every time I think Transformers are getting bad, I like look up Lego on Amazon and go, oh. I think it's cool that Lego has become like the most socially acceptable toy for adults. Like most of the friends I have are comfortable buying and displaying their Dominic Toretto Fast and Furious Speed Champion set with almost no judgment from anyone under the age of 40. But every time I walk into a Lego store and I see the shelves lined with $200 plus overpriced licensed statues, I feel like I'm in like a Gucci store for babies. I went to one while I was making this video just to double check they were still bad and was immediately proven right by these motherfuckers charging $100 for just the Star Wars logo. Like back when I was 10 and still happy, I paid for this shit with the pocket money that I earned by horribly injuring myself with a lawnmower. And I remember my holy grail was the Lego City police station, and that shit was like...
I mean, the seat is at least still physical, you know, there's that, but like, have you seen what Nintendo has been doing with the Switch 2? Like, something like just some of the same game as before, but like $10 or $20 more. You know, and like no difference between like digital and physical version.
Like $100 max,
Insane,
and my
man.
mom still very reasonably wouldn't buy it for me. And
Everything
okay,
is
maybe they just realized that
way
Zoomers
too
aren't
priced
into this
these
shit
days, it's so
anymore and have
fucked.
just figured it's more profitable to price gouge the depressed working class millennials, but it's meant that they've effectively priced out not only kids, but also in what economy is any normal person able to drop like $350 on the Cullen house from Twilight that comes with a Jacob with fetal alcohol syndrome?
What?
They got like a $500 Goonies boat, a Star Trek ship,
$500.
$600 Star Wars ships that you might actually have to take out a loan for. Oh, don't worry guys, they've got a limit of 3 per customer just in case you really wanted to get rid of $4,000. And I'm not trying to say this shit isn't cool, okay? It's not my thing at all. Get back to
Insane.
me when the $7,000 Eye of Sauron can also turn into a car. It's just that no one's gonna be like, Mother may doth procure the 500 shilling tribute to Bowser from Mario 64. And so for as overpriced as Transformers still are, at least they still have to kind of keep in mind that like a lot of the sales of their children's toys are coming from children. And yeah, both Transformers and Lego still have options for kids. I just feel like with the tariffs now, we're seeing like this gradual shift where like a dude called fucking Squeeze Play is now a luxury collector item. And by the way, this is not me saying that I give a single shit about what children can afford. Get a job, Timmy. I'm just saying that the only thing subsidizing these things to an affordable level right now is the fact that it still says 8+ on the box. So you know what? Thanks, little bro. While we're on that, by the way, I think Hollywood might be starting to get jealous with how they're not the only ones who have been remaking everything a million times. Transformers might be a series with like 1 billion characters, but genuinely the only thing keeping the entire brand afloat is them putting out like infinite versions of the same like 4 guys. And of course, there's nothing stopping you from just owning more than one of the same guy, but why would I do that when instead of 2 Bumblebees, I can have 1 Bumblebee?
Which frankly makes sense if you think about it. Like, a lot of the adults who might buy some Transformer toy for their kids, they might only know like 4 guys. So like, it makes sense that you make the most of them, as they will be the one that most people will know and buy. Yeah, makes sense.
And $20 more. This one's more of a me problem, okay? Because I don't want to be like, oh my god, how could the toy company make figures of characters that make them money? Such a mystery as to why they would do that. And yeah, I know I complain about this literally every single year, but like, I'll stop when they do. But like, it gets to a point where like, I don't feel good about buying anything when I can bet money on them making a better version of it with a glow up like 2 weeks later. And I mean that literally, because you bet I'm still gonna buy it. Like this Grimlock I had was perfect. I love this toy.
Just wait a couple of years and buy it like from someone. I don't know. That's all I can say really.
But what if they made a bigger one? I have people I know the same age as me that
It's kind of mental illness. I mean, I'm not saying just this guy because, you know, it's like everybody is at this point, but it's like, man, it's like mental illness, right? Like, you're literally like constantly acknowledging that everything you're buying is overpriced and not worth it. And yet you're still buying it rather than like, you know, using the money to like buy older ones that are like used, but maybe like, you know, not even half the price or something. Like, you know, human brain is really a mystery sometimes.
Gotten married and had kids this year, but what I did was finally collect all 6 of the Decepticon
Actually,
jets
yeah,
after they
I see
generously
yourself.
re-released them after 4 goddamn years. Which, don't worry, still isn't as sad as the fact that I only got to enjoy having all 6 of them together for about like 24 hours before they revealed a new jet mold for next year, and now I'm gonna have to do it all over again. And like, don't get me wrong, the new one looks like fucking awesome. It's just like, god damn it,
It looks so busy in
there was a
comparison.
sound wave they did in 2020 that was impossible to get a hold of without pushing one of your grandparents down the stairs, and after years of people literally begging them to re-release it, Hasbro finally listened and put out a different one that no one was asking for. That I sure hope no one bought as a replacement, because then a couple years later they finally did put out the one that people wanted, because then they announced a fully brand new one 6 months later anyway. Gotcha again, dumbass. So like, I'm not complaining about the fact that they're like remaking old ass toys that absolutely needed an update. It's just the fact that they like re-release the old ones not even like 6 months before they know that people are gonna replace them anyway. And it doesn't even have to be a completely new toy. Like, sometimes they'll just paint it slightly better, and I'm willing to go through the nightmare of trying to sell it on eBay for the next 10 years of my life just to get an Optimus Prime with slightly better boobs. And I tried to fight the voices with this year's Perceptor, which was an ever so slightly itty-bitty improvement of a toy that I was already completely fine with, but he came with a little rhino this time. What was I meant to not buy it? But then like, by the time I finally caved, it went out of stock at most places, and I ended up paying more than I would have in the first place. And it's crazy that I got this at a Big W, because that's not what it felt like. To explain it in the least boring...
I mean, again, don't get me wrong, like, you know, I told the story before, but like, you know, I spent too much money on like gacha microtransaction back in the days, so I understand the kind of like, you know, stupid brain instinct that in the moment makes you think this is a good idea, and then once you do it, you regret it, but like, it's too late. I get it.
way possible. The way that we find out about new shit coming out nowadays is when they either unceremoniously dump it on social media, or through the 40 paragraphs of leaks that we somehow keep getting every year. And while these leaks are super helpful for emotionally preparing myself for which of these guys I'm going to have to break the worst news of all time to, what they don't have is any kind of visual for what the figures look like, because they come out so far in advance that shit isn't even done yet. So when I heard about there being a new Soundwave, I didn't have faith that the new one was going to mug the shit out of the one that I already had. I just couldn't bear to let go of him before I at least got to see what the new one looked like. And then the second I did, not even my ex was able to lose feelings for something that quickly. Because this figure that could have single-handedly been my retirement fund now had to compete with the army of them that just started flooding eBay. So when these leaks drop, it leaves you with like this very tiny window where until that toy gets properly announced, you can still make money selling the old one, but it means that you have to do it without knowing what the thing you're selling it for even looks like yet.
It's gambling, man. It's more
Like, of the
gambling.
leaks for next year, 14 of the 35 figures are do-overs of toys that I bought like maybe 2 years ago. So then this shit becomes like some kind of psychic stock market. It's like, do I hold on to the one I already have to make sure that the new one doesn't suck ass? Or do I just let Jesus take the wheel and just blindly sell the one I already own before it drops $500 in value, like I'm doing the saddest possible version of Wall Street trading? So at this point, I got no loyalty to any of these guys whatsoever. The second I catch a whiff of a do-over, I'm insta-casting that shit to the pits of Facebook Marketplace. And like, there's a part of me that wants to be like, okay, maybe they didn't have the budget to make these improvements the first time, or maybe they're just re-releasing them for the people that missed out originally. But if I have to buy Galvatron one more goddamn time, you are going to be seeing me on the news. Okay, awesome. We all done with the complaining, because I really want to talk about the shelves now. It's only about 5 years into this hobby that I finally started to consider how I'm actually going to display any of this shit. Because, you know, it might be nice to be able to have people in the room that I keep them in without wanting to kill myself, because what could be better than doing this for 47 hours? I've never had shelves in my life, as you all know. By the way, you've endlessly bullied me for having that shit on the floor for the last 5 years. Because I've always been kind of a shelf hater, okay? I've never wanted to sink like actual days of my life into just making these guys take after their dad, where the only thing they're good at is sitting there and looking pretty. Because I like grabbing them and messing with them every now and then to distract myself from the fact that I still haven't paid my electricity bill. And I like, there's no point in perfectly organizing everything anyway if I'm just swapping these dudes out every time Hasbro CEO feels like another yacht. Now, I know it's because most of us have about 7 landfills worth of plastic toys swallowing up our living room floor, but I've seen so many displays that pack in so many guys on the same shelf, like a clown car, where they're casting anything not in the front row to like a permanent abyss, when the whole point of a display is to have them permanently aura farming. Like, at least when I had them on the floor, the biggest advantage of being a 6'5" king like myself is that I could see over it. I don't want to spend all this money just to have half the shit I buy have like a permanent view of someone's asshole. And then as well, right, and I say this with love, because the those people have to pack so much shit on the same shelf, the only way they can get them to fit is to have them in these like invincible model sheet ass poses standing there in like static rows, like the friggin' terracotta warriors.
Boring, yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to be a hater, okay? Obviously not everyone is able to do this depending on like how much space they have, but that was just like something I really wanted to try and avoid. But then I was like, am I supposed to be leaving space for like future guys I haven't gotten yet, so I don't have to have my 13th reason every time I have to reorganize the entire thing? Like, am I supposed to be like, this is where I'd put my lead foot if I had one? But after all of these years, I finally saved up enough money to get the absolute ugliest fucking shelves from Bunnings that I definitely shouldn't have tried to assemble myself, given that there is no Transformers toy I've been able to transform without crying. And while I admit it was kind of fun setting them up on the least structurally sound shelves of all time, I don't know if I was happy with my display room permanently looking like the world's shittiest Kmart. And so it took me about 5 minutes of doom scrolling on the Transformers subreddit to come across this display from a genius who had made an individual diorama on each shelf, and I knew immediately that I had to...
I mean, this looks good, but the problem is that when you have as much time as him, like, you need the amount of space in your house, right? Because, you know, if you do like this kind of cool diorama, it takes, you know, only a few figures to already have like the space field, so you need literally like a shelf on every wall of your house.
Blatantly rip it off. It's kind of insane how much less of a crackdown your shelves look the second that you give it like a backdrop. So at first my totally original idea was going to be having like something different for each shelf. You know, like I printed bases for the characters that people can actually name. I bought this mysterious green material I've never touched before for the Beast guys. And I don't think I have to tell you what I was going to do for the movie guys until I worked out that like A1 sheets of paper cost like $1 billion, and that I need to basically deforest half the planet to get a picture of Bumblebee pissing that big. So for now I just channeled the remaining arts and crafts skills that I retained from the 5th grade to spend way too long measuring and trimming the edges, and then still forgot to give it a cardboard backing so it doesn't spend way too long measuring and trimming the edges.
Anyone remembers my old room? This is what I did. I mean, it took like days. It took like 200 or 300 like printing, and I was too lazy to like cut them like this, so I just like plied them, I guess, like the white edge I would just try to fold on itself. Yeah, but frankly, like the result was pretty good. I mean, if you're poor and you know you have a printer, yeah, this is the best way to do it. You can make it look good with printed image.
And then still forgot to give it a cardboard backing so it doesn't look like it's in its 3rd trimester. My master plan was crumbling the second that I remembered that Galvatron has more goons than I fit into a week. And I mean, if I tried hard enough, I could definitely just cram them all in there, but then I'd just be doing like a slightly elevated version of what people were already giving me shit for. Because I knew I was cooked the second that I had to start putting some of these guys out on the street. Because like, if I wanted enough room to be able to space them out and still be able to grab them without becoming the owner of the world's most expensive dominoes, I was gonna have to go back and get another ugly ass shelf. And yeah, you might be thinking, okay, why don't you just put the bigger guys at the back? Because like, you'd think it would make sense to just have like everything be a different size, which is a pretty good idea if you aren't as potentially insane as I am, because I'm not going to sleep at night unless the guys that are meant to go together are on the same shelf with each other. And I know what you might be thinking, but I didn't have time to get an autism diagnosis, because then I was like, what if I get shelves for the shelves, until I worked out that I'd need like $7 grand worth. Like, if only I had these super big guys that I didn't know what to do with anyway. Oh, wait. There we go. It's beautiful, goddammit. But honestly, I should have been displaying these in order of how much they're going to ruin my day if they can't survive an involuntary drop test. Because I realized about 30 seconds into assembling these hideous atrocities that the reason that like smart people get glass cabinets instead is that none of these guys do like a 3-point Olympic dive into the center of my fucking floor. Like, I don't want to put 5 million guys on here if they're just gonna do...
What a nightmare is all I can say. I didn't think of any of this, but damn. Like, I only had a few figurines myself, and they were like mixed amongst a ton of like DVDs and manga, which were like perfectly stacked, you know, so you don't have to worry about any of this. But man, I can't imagine, like, it could be fun to, you know, to set up and try to like pose everything, but like, man, at the same time, then when you have to move it, then if anything like falls, yeah, no, that sounds like a nightmare.
A mass suicide ritual if one of my toes decides to go rogue. And as if it was like a bad omen, the same night that I was packing, I had this like Mr. Frog statue that one of my friends lovingly crafted with their bare hands decide to fallen kingdom off the shelf of my old bedroom, crash into my standing desk, and then was mauled by my dog. He didn't make it. So now I'm thinking I'm
Well.
gonna like borrow one of those suicide nets they got off like the Golden Gate Bridge or some shit in case any of these guys ever get divorced. I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't figured out a solution for this. I just now live in a constant state of terror that all of my toys are gonna Assassin's Creed dive off the top of my 15 feet tall shelves. You
The solution is pretty simple, right? I mean, just stop buying toys for a bit, so you have the money to buy like glass shelf. That's the solution.
guys are right, this is so much better than just having them on the floor. And you know, pretending you can't see the shelves get progressively shittier as I run out of money toward the end. I gotta admit, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Except I just had some new ones come in. So, I guess I'll go fuck myself then. And I'd love to say that like I'll have something ready to show by next year, but given that Australia is in like a constant state of being 8,000 degrees a day, I give them about a week before they either melt or just rot into a piss-colored yellow. Because I swear to God, December is like my least favorite time of year because I look on TV and I see it's all snowy and magical and shit, and then I look outside to where I live, where the sun is actively trying to kill me every single day. But you know, for now, I can just sit back and be the proud owner of the world's most expensive set of dust collectors. But you know, unlike my savings, I feel like I've grown a lot in the last 5 years that I've been doing these stupid toy videos, like finally working out that you can move their ankles, which might be a little important when you're doing a video that's going to be watched by 800,000 people. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next year. Now, how do I get out of here?
What a nightmare. I mean, I respect the passion for it, but what a nightmare. At the same time, it's so relatable, you know, like, he loves it and he hates it at the same time, and this video is mostly that, right? Like, there's so much to hate and dislike, and yet he just can't stop. It's so kind of relatable in some way, yeah. You know, yeah. So was the good year or not? I don't even know. Yeah, good video. This shit is crazy. That's all I can say, yeah. Alright. Crazy stuff. Well, that was interesting. I guess we'll see in, you know, 2027 what 2026 was like.